What's the worst thing you've been accused for when you haven't done anything wrong, and what was the outcome? I was accused of being a pedophile by a neighbor. I had been babysitting my sister. I was 22 at the time, she was 3, who was going through that nudist phase most young children go through. My neighbor knocked on the door while I was cooking dinner. My sister streaked to the door and opened it before I could get there. Neighbor saw a naked young kid and a grown man. Assumed the worst, called the cops, then called other neighbors. Cops came out, talked to me, talked to my sister, called our mom and talked to her, talked to the neighbor. Realized nothing was going on, apologized for the inconvenience, and left. Unfortunately, by then the neighbor had spread the rumor throughout the apartment complex, and people being people believed the worst. I became a pariah in that neighborhood. Over the next few weeks the rumor spread throughout town. It ended up making my life hell there, and I had to move to a different county to leave the rumors behind. Geez, that's awful. Hope everything is looking better for you now, at least. I could never begin to imagine how impactful that would be on your daily life, so kudos to you for powering through and finding a way around the issues. Yeah, things are much better. That was 13 years ago, so it's long behind me. As for impactful, it was quite so. I lost my job, lost my apartment. No one in that town would hire me. Ended up homeless for a few years because of it. My wife was arrested while out shopping with our 3-month-old. As she walked into the store, a girl who was exiting offered her her shopping cart. Wife accepted and went about her business. A few minutes later, the girl found her in the store and asked if she'd left her, the girl's, wallet in the cart. Wife said no, figured that was the end of it. Evidently after that, the girl went to store security, who let her watch all the recorded security video, and they saw my wife tucking something into her diaper bag right after accepting the cart. It was her phone. Girl runs back across the store, screaming at my wife. I know you did it! They have it on camera! I called the cops! Etc. So my wife keeps trying to de-escalate the situation, but the girl's having none of it. Then the store's customer service desk, where they ended up to discuss things, holds up the girl's wallet. Is this yours? Girl grabs it, confirms it's hers, and departs without an apology. Then the cops show up and in their opinion, my wife stole the wallet and then hid it in the store where someone else picked it up and turned it in. So they arrest her for felony theft. After trying to force her at length to confess, threatening our child, swearing at her, etc., eventually she pulled out her camera to record them, and that's when they shut up, cuffed her, and charged her. It took us several months and a hefty lawyer fee to get access to the security video, which the cops weren't required to turn over to us until the day of her hearing. But once we had it, it only took 20 minutes to prove exactly what did happen to the wallet. It was dropped by the girl before she offered the cart. Another customer picked it up and brought it to customer service before my wife even entered the store. 5 months, $3,500 later, the DA called it a case of mistaken identity and dropped charges. During that time, my wife couldn't apply for jobs. She's a mental health counselor and it would have shown up in her background check, as she'd planned, and had to take several days away from our, still breastfeeding, child, including being detained for over 4 hours for the arrest itself. No apology from the DA, the cops, the store, or the girl. Edit. We also have a permanent DCF file, after having been parents for 3 months. Because our son was with her at the time of the incident, they were required to do a home visit and everything, though the DCF worker said it was the most ridiculous case she'd been assigned and got it closed as soon as she was able. Other than work, I could barely get her to leave the house between the incident and when the charges were dropped. Because she was technically out on probation, she could have been locked up for up to 90 days for any offense, technically, even a speeding ticket. And while she'd never before had any civil or criminal offenses, the incident shook her faith in the system to the point that the risk wasn't worth it to her. It happened a week before Christmas. What should have been an amazing time in our lives, our first child's first Christmas, was a decidedly more somber affair with all that hanging over us. As it keeps coming up, I'll answer it here. We're both average-looking white people of European descent. When I say the girl departed after getting her wallet, I mean that's the last my wife ever saw of her. Based on other facts, we know that the cops did talk to her, but we did not witness that meeting, so we don't know when, where, or what transpired between them. Oh my God! I'm so pissed just reading this. What the fuck is wrong with those cops? They had no evidence, and no reason to believe that your wife did anything wrong. I could see if she had a bunch of thefts on her record or something. I'm assuming she doesn't, but the arrest just seems like it came out of the blue. I would say sue them, but I'm sure that would just take up a lot more of your time and money. Stealing money from work. My register was over $100 short one day. My boss made me undo all my pockets and went through my backpack. I had to take off my shoes and socks in front of him. He had me shake out my clothes in front of him. It wasn't like he made me take them off, but in the middle of the kitchen he starts yelling at me to shake out my shirt and bra in front of the whole staff. He wanted to see my car, but I insisted that I had not left the restaurant. It just sucked. I was humiliated. I had worked there for years without a single incident. I wouldn't say I was friends with my boss, but we were certainly friendly and on great terms. I get that he needed to check everything out in case something happens, but throwing all my stuff out of my purse onto the ground and yelling for me to shake out my clothes wasn't necessary. My mom accused me of eating her candy bar when I was 8, even though my sister ate it. My sister was 10 and wouldn't fess up, so we had to stand in a corner for 6 hours until my dad came home, and I started bawling and my sister finally told him she ate it. He yelled at my mom for punishing me. Love you, Dad? 6 hours for a candy bar? Jesus Christ. Yeah, my mom is serious about her chocolate. And she's a bitch. Stabbing a kid with scissors. I tried explaining the kid was bullying and attempted to steal my scissors but cut himself on them in the process. Got suspended by the principal anyways because the school didn't want to take sides. We don't want to take sides. That's why we're going to take sides here. Really. Zero-tolerance policies are lazy ways for schools to justify punishing everyone instead of finding the right side. When I was 18 years old, my cousin came over one day and brought me truck parts that he said he bought for my birthday, and they finally arrived. I thanked him wholeheartedly because it must have been almost $1,000 in parts, and I really needed them. I installed them all onto my truck and went on my merry way. Fast forward about a month later, and I'm cleaning my truck and 2 police cars roll up to my house. They read me my right and explained to me that my cousin told them that I told him to steal a credit card and buy me truck parts, which is a fuckload of nonsense. I told them I had no part involved with it, and that should be the end of it. But still, I did receive stolen products, and still had to go to court for it. My cousin got a slap on the wrist and community service because he was 17. But since I was an adult, I had to be charged. I was able to get it down to only a misdemeanor, and no jail time, again all while I never did a single thing. Dealt with it on my record for about 2 years and was able to get it expunged. Fuck the American justice system. Man, those must have been some awkward family gatherings. I was able to forgive him, because I know we all make mistakes, but what really killed me is that his mother, my aunt, said I was a bad influence on him, and I deserved it. That hurt me the most. On Christmas Eve, I was accused of stealing a customer's credit after it left work for the night. I felt horrible for my team to have to deal with that on Christmas Eve of all days. The lady had came in to return an item earlier in the day. It was one of our Christmas special items that we don't normally stock. I told her this as she was still undecided about returning it. She went out to talk to her husband, who was sitting in the car outside. Eventually, she decided to return it. I processed the return like normal. I did not touch her card at any time. She put her card through the FPOS terminal. I had her sign a receipt to say that she'd returned the item. I gave her a return receipt, which shows FPOS refund on it, and that was that. Later that night, after I'd left, the husband came back. He was furious. The lady was with him, but she was quiet. He was yelling and throwing a massive tantrum, saying that the girl who served her, me, had stolen her credit card. He was demanding an apology from me or my team. Luckily, we have security cameras which face directly on the counter. They're very clear pictures. It was very, very obvious that the wife put her credit card back in her purse. Plus, a receipt will not print out if a card is still in the terminal, which meant she wouldn't have been able to sign anything if she had left it in there. The manager was not happy about him accusing me of this. He did not get his apology. When my school's Twitter started posting sexualized SpongeBob memes, my teacher accused me of hacking into the Twitter account and doing it. He probably thought so because I've done sorta similar things before, but not to that extent and nothing that could be considered hacking. They eventually figured out that the student responsible for running the account mixed up the school's account and one of her personal ones. When I dumped my ex, she got mad and told the cops I raped her and got me sent to jail. But luckily, she was dumb enough to send her friend a text message saying that she made it all up, so I ended up beating the case and she got slapped with a few charges. It's fucked up how much power women have over men with these types of things. If she hadn't fucked up by confessing over text, I would have ended being wrongly convicted as a sex offender. Watch out, guys, these bitches are crazy. Recently, a guy was in jail for 4 years until the women admitted to the false accusation. These accusers don't even get any punishment. It's ridiculous. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.